episode 38 of Last Turn. I'm Bart, and joining me today, as always, is Evan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing so fantastically well. Another great day to talk about our favorite game, Pokemon.
You know, I actually bought Pokemon Ultra Moon today.
Oh my, did that preempt? I mentioned Pokemon. I knew you were playing the in-browser battler.
Pokemon Showdown, right?
Which one Pokemon Showdown? Which one happened first? The Showdown?
The urge to play Pokemon.
Oh.
The urge to play Pokemon happened first. So I wanted to play really badly, and like I pop open my 3DS case. I have an old Platinum file in there, and I start playing, and it's so dated. I can't do that. So I pop open Pokemon Showdown and play a bunch of that, and that was really fun. But then I had to go play like a Pokemon game that I never played before.
You had to go all the way.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So I did.
I think I did like X or Y or something most recently. What's this one called that you got?
Ultra Moon.
Ultra Moon.
It's not just Moon, it's Ultra Moon.
Wait, was Pokemon... Yeah, Pokemon Sun and Moon already happened, right?
Yes.
So this is like, when they did like Leaf Green and stuff like... Oh, no, this is the Yellow.
Yes.
Oh, this is the Platinum. This is the Crystal.
Right.
This is that good stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm not very far in it right now. It's like Cutscene Mania. Welcome to our Pokemon podcast. Those of you joining us for Hearthstone, you can get right out.
There's no Professor Oak card in that card game. That's awful.
Is that the card say, like, doesn't it just say draw 2 cards?
It's something like that. I think it might have been 3, actually. I have no idea. I think I remember it being even more of a meme than Pot of Greed in Yu-Gi-Oh!, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's really funny. I never played the Pokemon trading card game outside of the Game Boy game.
Yeah, so. I mean, I never even played the Game Boy game, though I hear I'm missing out.
Yeah, it was a game.
Oh my god, dude, it's discard your hand and draw 7.
Okay.
Oh my, and I think that's free. I think it's 0 mana.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know how energy or resources or anything like that.
There's no symbols on it. There's no symbols.
So those of you who know how Pokemon works, you can feel free to tweet at us and tell us how this card works, because that sounds completely degenerate.
But I think this is essentially like what you and I called magic cards back when we played Yu-Gi-Oh! To make this even more confusing. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a type of card called a spell card, which is just like a spell in Hearthstone, but they weren't smart enough to call them spell cards. They called them magic cards. They're monsters, traps, and magic cards. And I'm pretty sure they changed that because of pressure from Hasbro. But it could have also just been because they thought they were losing revenue because people were like, "Oh, I got this cool new magic card," and then they tell their friend that, and their friend would go buy a different card game.
Yeah, that's not ideal. But like, brand recognition is really important for selling a product. So,
and they have like a third of Yu-Gi-Oh cards said Magic card on them.
What a blunder!
Yeah.
Thank you, Konami.
Well, they were not. They're not Native Americans, so.
No, they're not. Neither are we. But they are. I mean, they also. Yeah, they're not known for, like, making really amazing decisions in general, but this is certainly not a podcast about criticizing Konami. There are, in fact, many of those out there.
Really?
This is not one of them.
Oh. Well, yeah, no, let's not do that.
So this is a podcast about Hunter. So we wanted to talk to you about the Hunter class today. So I think we, Evan, this was your suggestion, so why don't you introduce this topic?
I'd love to. Basically, Hunter's been traditionally the go face deck. That's a very important meme, you could say, in Hearthstone, is that Hunter goes face. There's a song, you know. This isn't a little thing. And generally, if Hunter was like resurfaced, because it used to be like really powerful, and some of the cards that were particularly good in it, like Leper Gnome, that used to be a 2/1 for 1 with the same effect. And they nerfed Leper Gnome, and that definitely made Face Hunter in general a much weaker archetype. And just also the cards they've been printing have been negatively affecting the power of the archetype of Face Hunter, which is sort of like at this point the old school way Hunter was good. So like back in the day, the golden age of Hunter, when it was really competitive, it was usually this face deck. And Blizzard has been releasing a lot of cards like Rockdelar that trigger when you have no minions in your deck, which is not a face deck. Obviously, you really need to be applying pressure with minions and attacking their face, not just, clicking your hero power. That doesn't work normally. So there's a necessity for a ton of minions in that deck traditionally, and they're printing all these cards that require you to go a completely different direction. So obviously that wasn't helping Face Hunter. The existence of Rockdelar didn't increase the power of Face Hunter as an archetype. And it just seemed to be really awkward because it also didn't seem to be an archetype of its own either. It just seemed to be bad.
At least not when the cards are being spoiled.
Yes, this is how it appeared.
Right.
But I think over the past, several months, or maybe even longer, here and there, Spell Hunter has had reasonable win rates. So Spell Hunter is essentially the new deck, the new face of Hunter. And I think even when it was being most criticized at the beginning and most questioned, what are you doing printing to my side? Not letting me play minions in my deck. That's stupid. I think it was still doing all right, at least. It was still doing better than people thought it was, but we're now at the point where it's actually really powerful. The Spell Hunter deck, every set, they added more cards that worked with it. And now we've reached sort of a critical point. And another thing that was preventing it from being a deck earlier was that all those other cards were so powerful, Possessed Lackey cost 5 mana, and Dark Pact gave you 8 health. So playing Spell Hunter was just much less reasonable than it is now.
Yeah, it's I think that's a fair evaluation. Definitely that deck was obviously something they were trying to force. They were printing so much just really obvious support for it, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that from a design standpoint. But it was questionable whether or not it would work, much like you said. Apparently, it did. There was definitely I remember, day one losing to it, trying to play Secret Hunter with Secret Mage with Alunath, because I thought that would be a strong deck. It turned out to be. And I remember just getting beaten by Spell Hunters who had the one possible Spell Hunter deck list, and I still had a pretty unoptimized version of the Secret Mage list.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember being impressed with the power level of that deck.
Me too. Same thing.
And now it's even stronger because, like you said, a lot of the more dominant and actual stronger decks are completely gone from the data game, which is actually something we should mention. I think our position on record about the balance changes before they happened is that they weren't maybe not necessary.
Yeah.
It's been interesting how much was hiding underneath them.
Yeah, I think it's a lot because I haven't even really gotten to it yet, but not only is there the new Spell Hunter Mage, Spell Hunter Mage.
Spell Hunter Mage.
Let's try that again, team. New Professor Oak Hunter. No, a new other Hunter deck in addition to Spell Hunter, which you can call it Katharina Hunter, you can call it Recruit Hunter. And we're going to need to go into that also. But there was a lot in there, apparently. There were a lot of cool things to be done if you just nerfed those really unfair cards.
Yeah, that's been really interesting. So, I mean, I think that deck, we can go into the detail in a moment, but it seems like that deck was born from a set of synergies that they added to Hunter and just, did not support afterwards. So it looked like they gave Hunter, this Death Rattle support.
Yeah.
And I think that, I have broader thoughts on this in general. I actually think that both that Death Rattle support and Spell Hunter was kind of like what they were doing with Shaman, moving it around between, Murlocs and Freeze and all this other stuff. They were trying to explore the class identity of Hunter. So their approach to exploring class identity for some of the classes that maybe don't have a very well-defined identity or who don't have a niche identity, their strategy is you kind of just, throw stuff at the wall and hope it works. You make something that works internally on your internal design team, and once it can win some games in there, you put it out in the wild and see if it can actually stand up to what the players are going to do.
Yeah, and some amount of extra bizarreness is good. You kind of get more data. a key thing in game design is you don't want 5s, you want 2s and 9s. You want people to
Right,
either hate the card or love the card. That would be a lot better than someone not having an opinion about it, which is, in a way, cryostasis, is kind of like a success, because I have emotions about it, and I feel things about this card, and just nothing good. But that's...
Right.
But cryostasis, yes, that's a really not that good shaman card that just seemed like, what are they doing? And there were these hunter cards, that were, requiring no minions in your deck, or other ones that just triggered a minion's death rattle for 1 mana that's play dead, and an ooze. There's a 6 mana 5/4 ooze that copies the death rattle of a minion in your deck, and it just seemed like they were going all over the place. And then they also give a bunch of secret support, which also is important in the story. They made things like Cloaked Huntress, which isn't around now, but she's sort of the beginning of them also trying to make secrets more of a theme. But they were going all over the place, and they apparently did it long enough and thoroughly enough that a few things stuck.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, it's interesting to watch them sort of explore the identity of some of these classes. I think Shaman, Shaman and Hunter, and Warrior, actually, all 3 of these classes have sort of necessitated a lot of exploring. And I also think that, well, maybe not Shaman among those 3, but certainly Hunter and Warrior, their traditional class identities lend themselves to like one type of strategy. So with Warrior, I think it's sort of traditionally controlling, or at least slow, because you have armor up. Your hero power does one thing. You cannot use armor up aggressively. Similarly, you cannot use, what is it called? The Hunter hero power?
Shoot.
Steady? Shoot. You cannot use shoot defensively. It's like steady shot? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Hunter's my least played class, so... I just have almost no games on this compared to all the other classes.
I just never read it. Every turn, I just instantly click it when I play Hunter.
Shoot.
I shoot you. You lose. I shoot you.
I just set up my bot to click on it and then pass the turn.
I mean, that would win enough.
Yeah, you could probably get from rank 25 to rank 20 in a day doing that. But so, those classes have sort of these hero powers that lend themselves to one type of strategy. And I think that when you have a class, as compared to something like Druid, Druid's hero power it's half and half. You can use that in a lot of different ways. You can use it to push face damage. You can use it to actually get a small amount of armor and through some defense over time. You can use it to gain tempo. That is something that supports a lot of different playstyles. So if you're playing a deck that's trying to rush to 10 mana, then that hero power is going to be awesome for you keeping the board clean and, recovering a little bit of health. And if you're trying to play a deck that is going face, that's going to be awesome to get back tempo if the game happens to go past turn 4. So it's, a little easier to design and sort of fit different strategies into that class because it has that native support for it, whereas something like Warrior and Hunter do not. So building class identities for these classes is more challenging. With Warrior, they managed to succeed with, weapon synergies back in the past. We all remember Pirate Warrior. That was definitely not a defensive deck, not even close. But for Hunter, they never quite nailed it until recently. And it's very exciting.
Yeah, a lot of things missed. The quest was never a thing.
Yeah, totally. Despite what people thought.
Yeah, there's a long list of it not really working out. And I think you're very right about the hero power being a big part of it, and also just the way in which the characters are supposed to be. Warrior and Hunter is necessarily combative, and that's why it's more narrow than if you can cast spells and stuff, you can do anything.
Yeah, sure.
The Druid can use its hero power as a removal spell and kill something with 1 health, just like Mage. And Priest, they just basically nailed it with let's just make a lot of benefits to healing things and a lot of things that heal, and we'll just go with that. And they got there with that one. And also Paladins 1/1s, you can use them for tempo, like you said. You can use these to clear your opponent's stuff. You can't do that with Hunter's hero power. So
Yeah.
giving it away to play defensively was a really complicated question.
Yeah, giving it away to play slowly, to play a non-proactive strategy or a deck that isn't just, straight aggressive, spend all my mana on damage. Like, because the things this class is good, this class isn't good at removal. It's not good at taunts. It's not good at, it doesn't have a hero power that supports defensive playstyle, really. So it's inherently bad at these things, and that's part of its, really core identity. So building in mechanics that, you can change core identities, I guess. Like, for example, Druid recently became the taunt and armor class, which is very weird.
Yeah.
But, I would consider that something like a core identity swap, but there's still some parts of its core identities that remain. Whereas, in order to make Hunter good at these things, you kind of need to remove parts of their core identity.
It's like the 3 decks, aggro, control, and combo. It's really only good for one of them.
Yeah.
Historically, but now there's it's kind of like those other 2 are being represented now.
Yeah, there's at least a mid-range combo deck, which is the Kathrina deck. So I think now's the time to explain it. So
let's explain.
The core strategy here, the goal of the deck, is to cheat out a gigantic charging dinosaur. So that's what you're trying to do in your strategy. So you're trying to get out King Crush or charge Devilsaurs and hit your opponent's face until they die.
Works for me.
Yeah, I mean, you famously love Devilsaur decks. So
they're tasty dinosaurs.
This is I definitely, when I saw this list, thought of you. So the main way that you are getting these things into play are with recruit effects. The main ways, rather. So Silver Vanguard is one of them. That is a 7-mana 3/3, good stats. With Death Rattle, recruit an 8-cost minion, so that can pull out your charged Devilsaur. The deck also runs Kathrina, which is yet another way to get out one of the dinosaurs. Kathrina is 8 mana, which your Vanguard can hit this. With Battlecry and Death Rattle, recruit a beast. So the only beasts this deck runs are the dinosaurs and the 3/12 5-mana taunt, the Witchwood Grizzly.
Yeah, normally its Battlecry would reduce its health based on how many cards are in your opponent's hand, but since you're recruiting it, no Battlecry.
Right, and a 3/12 is just massive at pretty much any state of the game. So
yeah.
It's not even a miss, even if it's not the strongest hit, which it totally isn't, it's almost never a miss. And it's also just a good card to have in your deck, it's a good card. So playing it is fine.
It generally tends to be better against decks you need a more defensive minion against. The more quickly they're emptying their hand, the more health you want your taunty guys to be, and that's exactly how it works.
Precisely. So between Silver Vanguard and Kathrina's Death Rattles, and I guess Kathrina's Battlecry, you're able to pull out your dinosaurs. And when you pull out, King Crush just has charge, so when you pull him out, he's attacking face. And Devilsaur also has charge, and the fact that it can't, the condition under which it cannot attack face is actually its Battlecry, so if you recruit it, you just sidestep that issue.
Yep, just like with the Grizzly.
So, with a lot of these types of strategies, these are really expensive cards I just talked about, so, if you're sort of attuned to these types of decks, you should be asking yourself, how does it happen early? The answer is Seeping Oozling, which is the 6-mana 5/4 you had mentioned earlier. With Battlecry, gain the Death Rattle of a random minion in your deck.
And I think the only ones are Kathrina and the Vanguard.
That is true.
So it's when it dies, it's either going to get an 8-drop like Kathrina herself, or it'll have the Death Rattle of Kathrina and get you a dinosaur, or a bear.
Right.
3/12 bear.
Yeah, so this is, and you also have Lich King here, because that's a good card to hit great mana.
Yeah, we also threw Lich King in, because, It gives you more hits on Vanguard. That's the thing that I feel like, I'm probably just, getting unlucky or playing badly, but you can definitely it can be unfortunate which cards you draw, because you can't recruit them when they're in your hand, obviously, and that can happen in a Q block or something. If you were playing Possessed Lackeys to recruit your demons, if you wind up drawing all your demons, just happen to draw them all really early, then you get screwed out of your recruit effect. And I feel like that happens to me frequently with this deck. I've only probably played 5 games with it, but that's an unfun part of the deck.
Yeah, so one way around that I found is I actually keep, depending on the matchup, if I think I'm not facing an aggro deck, I keep Seething Oozlings in my hand.
Okay. That definitely sounds like a good idea. Because that sounds like a really important card overall.
Yeah, that's like the card you want most of the time. So, I think you'd rather, against like a deck is control, you'd probably rather have that than a Tar Creeper. So it's just like fair to keep it. That way, you can get it out early and get a recruit effect on it and have it die early so that you're recruiting at least something early. Because like those are the games where you're winning. Also, a lot like, Q-Block had the out of if it draws its Doom Guards, you do have Skull. This deck has the out of just playing the dinosaurs. Like, they are big. Like, paying 8 mana for a 7/7 charge that can't hit face is like, that's fine. It's not amazing. It's not something you're like going to win a ton of games with, but it's definitely more than nothing.
For sure. And the Grizzly can just be great.
Yeah, totally. Especially against aggro decks, like just having that card in your hand and playing it's really good.
And so I think the way that I've seen this Kathrina deck be really, really good, which is exclusively against me, because like I said, I have not had success with it, but I've seen it happen. They can kind of get damage in at least a little bit early just by like hero powering, and they are playing Kaliseth. A lot of them are playing Prince Kaliseth because there's not enough meaningful things at 2, and there's a decent number of minions in their deck. And that will make all the dinosaurs bigger, makes the bears bigger. It can be very effective. Candle shots, some 1-drops, like Firefly, maybe?
There are.
And like Saronite Chain Gang. So like they might like be plunking you a little bit. And then they play this Oozling. And it's a 5/4, so you don't want them to have it. But if you kill it, they're going to get a giant bear or a dinosaur. So that's when you're in a bad spot. And the reason they really have you is because if you do ignore it, there's a chance they have another really sort of, it seemed unpleasant or bad. Play Dead. It's a 1-mana spell, Play Dead, and it just activates the death rattle of a minion that you control without it dying. So if you do let the ooze stick around, you're like, you know what, I'll just let the 5/4 be there, they can actually capitalize on that.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. I think when I saw Play Dead, this was Knights of the Frozen Throne, so this is empirical. We could determine this. I think when I saw this, I just immediately thought, like, no, that's bad. It's not going to see play.
Yeah, I immediately was like, I'm so glad they made this card. It's really cool, but no one will ever play it in a competitive deck.
Yeah. I guess if I didn't know this deck existed and you asked me to, like, determine what would make this card good, I'd make it cost 1 or 2 more and be on a body.
Yeah.
Like 3 mana 2/3 or something, but no, this is actually good enough.
There is a 3 mana 3/3 that does this, I think.
Oh wow! And that's true. There is.
I don't think it's on play. I don't know if it's legal right now.
Yeah, I don't know either. It might be on Goro. But yeah, if it's, I mean, hilariously, that card has probably seen less play than Play Dead in serious decks, which is pretty funny.
Terror Scale Stalker.
That's the one.
That's so funny. Why wouldn't they? I mean, I guess it's just that being able to do it on 7 is so good. If you have an ooze or 8 mana, you can play ooze and Play Dead, and that's just so much more important than getting the 3/3.
Yeah, I think the 3/3 just doesn't really do a whole lot, and it's not like this effect is all that powerful, except after you have your other combo pieces, so you don't want like a ton of that effect in your deck, because most of the time it's not doing a lot. And I think I think Play Dead on 7 is just like, playing the ooze and then Play Dead on 7 is going to be way more powerful than like passing the turn and doing it the next turn.
Yeah, and these decks, so Kathrina Hunter, according to VS, it's got a 52% win rate at all ranks on average, and that puts it in Tier 1 according to Visual Syndicate. And then Spell Hunter is at the top of Tier 3 with 49.7% win rate.
Actually, are these win rates, or is this their weird score that doesn't mean anything?
I think that's the next thing down.
Okay. Oh yeah, they have the meta score and stuff. Yeah, I think that's right. I'm glad they have that win rate data there. Good.
I've had that thought like multiple times. Like, wait, power rankings. Is this that new weird thing they're doing? Not that I don't think it's cool. I always look at it and add that to the set of data I have, but it's not. It's also really nice to see the win rates, and they didn't get rid of that. Fortunately, they're awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm happy they did that. Yeah, I mean, I think that the scatter plot, normalizing the axes of their scatter plot is awesome. I just wish that they didn't throw away the units on their score when they did that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's Oh, and so there's Katharina has recruit and the Vanguard has recruit, and that's why it can be called Recruit Hunter. In case that wasn't clear, but I usually am calling it Katharina Hunter.
Yeah. I mean that's fine. Recruit Hunter. I usually call it Katharina Hunter as well. I think. I haven't really talked about it that much, I guess. But
and I guess we didn't talk too much about the Spell Hunter lists. They don't have minions because they all use a copy of Rockdelar to my side.
Yeah.
Rockdelar is a 7-mana legendary weapon with 4 power to durability, battle cry, fill your hand with hunter spells. Spells? I think it's spells. But it only works if you don't have minions in your deck. And then To My Side is a 6-mana spell. It'll give you 1 random beast from the Animal Companion spell. 3 mana, you get Huffer, Leok, or the M1. Misha. You get one of those 3 if you have minions in your deck, or you get 2 of those 3 at random if you have no minions in your deck. So there's these really powerful cards. Another really key card in both decks I've forgotten to mention is the Death Knight, Deathstalker Rexar.
Yeah, I mean, that card is right at home in the spell deck, but it turns out that it's also really good in the recruit deck.
It gives both decks a huge amount of longevity. It's the battle cry is to deal 2 damage to all your opponent's minions, which is really nice, and then it lets you do the Build-A-Beast effect, which can be the amount of value it gives you per turn is pretty big.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really hard to beat someone that's getting to build a beast every single turn.
Yeah, it's tough to because the beasts that you build are just really strong for a single card. Because they have 2 cards worth of mana cost, but they also have 2 cards worth of value in there, so they tend to be pretty good. Also, there's a whole lot of flexibility in that hero power, so it can be quite threatening. You're pretty much automatically on the back foot if your opponent has had 2 turns with Deathstalker Rexar up.
And it doesn't make you. It's not like drawing a card from your deck, so it doesn't fatigue you. It's another reason it's really good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's nice that it's not churning through your deck or anything. So it's really excellent for sort of late game situation.
And that's just that's another reason why these decks are doing so well. And then it also is another way, it turns out the Spell Hunter deck has a ton of great ways to cheat out minions in spite of the fact that it can't play them. And Build-A-Beast is one of them, because Deathstalker Rexar is a Death Knight card, or a hero card rather, it's a hero card,
right.
Not a minion, so you can play it and get the effect of Rockdelar and call it To My Side. To My Side summons 2 minions for you, so there's a way to cheat them out right there. And then maybe the best card in the deck is Lesser Emerald Spellstone.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're talking about all these cards that aren't the Spellstone, and that's the best card in the deck.
And that's really what makes Spell Hunter so very powerful. It's 5 mana for 2 3/3 wolves, which are beasts, and every time you play 1 secret, it gets upgraded to 3 wolves, and then to 4.
Yeah.
So you can get 12 power and 12 health for 5 mana.
So yeah, this is a deal. This is a deal already.
It's spicy
after
deal.
1 secret, and then after 2 secrets, this card is just really disgusting.
And isn't it just above average anyway, without even playing any secrets?
Yeah, yes, actually, 5 mana 6/6 is fine.
So it's it's definitely one of the best spellstones, and it can be really devastating in certain matchups. That's one of the things about it. if you're playing against a rogue and you play a spellstone, I mean, unless they're like playing Vanish or something, there's no way they're going to be able to keep up with that amount of tempo. They don't have anything efficient like a Flame Strike. Druid can also really get hosed. There's like so many the taunt decks now or Spreading Plague, so it's hard to say you definitely get them, but it can be really good against Druid. And the secrets are really good.
Wandering Monster is excellent. Freezing Trap's really good, and so is Explosive Trap.
Yeah, so there's the two classics, Freezing Trap and Explosive Trap, and then Wandering Monster can be... It not only can be so good, but it completely changes how your opponent has to play.
Yes.
The fact that it exists.
Yeah, they have to often respect, like... if you play a secret on 1 or 2, with your coin or whatever, if they don't have the right cards in their hand, they really can't afford to attack you, because the high roll could mean that you lose the game, or they lose the game. So, like, if they attack you and you just get out like a 3-4, or you get out like a 4-4 or something, they're really gonna, or like Mukla, you get a 5-5.
Or
like,
Acolyte of Pain. Can also be devastating. They're like, I'll attack with my Acker's Veteran. And it's like, sorry, buddy.
Yeah, it's just like, there's a lot of hits that you can get off of Wandering Monster that means your opponent no longer has a game against you, or they're just so far in the back foot now that they spent like a whole resource to put themselves behind the tempo. And it's just like, if they only have 2 mana at their disposal, they can't make up the difference. They can't like recover from that.
Exactly. They wind up suffering a lot of damage from whatever comes out.
Yeah.
It's
so
that
card's spectacular. So, collectively, all of these cards has made Spellhunter a real deck because it has a bunch of actually powerful things it can do instead of just, making an enormous sacrifice for a sort of meme-worthy payoff like Rocktalar. It's like, it's an actual deck. It's an actual deck that does strong things.
And yeah, it's got this interruptive nature early in the game with things like Wandering Monster, Candle Shot, and then later it can top things off with Deathstalker, Rexar, and Rocktalar to just get a ton more value even after it emptied its hand.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I think, of these two decks, currently I think the most powerful one is the Recruit deck.
It's crazy.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, I like decks like this. This feels like a fair version of like Big Priest to me.
Yeah, or even Q-Block.
Yeah. Either one of those works. It feels like it's doing something pretty similar to, that kind of deck. But this is like, it's like a combo-y... Those decks are like combo control decks, right? This is like a combo midrange deck.
Yes, it's playing Keleseth and some 3-drop minions, Tar Creepers, some 1-drops, some 4-drops. That's, it's got some minions and some beaters.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It can play a game where, it kind of plays on curve for the first 4 turns. Like, nothing insane. It's not playing Crackling Razormaw or anything like that. But you could, Firefly and then Keleseth if you're lucky, or Hero Power, and then like Tar Creeper or something, just actually play minions and play like a mid-range tempo-based game. But then sometime in the like mid to late game, 6+, you just start to explode with dinosaurs.
Yeah, you can go hard in the paint really quickly with that.
Houndmaster Shaw's been pretty cool. So another thing about this deck is that it is expensive. There are so many legends in this deck.
There's Katharina, there's King Crush, there's Shaw.
There's Shaw, there's Lich King, and Keleseth.
Right, and the...
Deathstalker XR.
Yeah.
So this really does have a ton of legends in it. And then like there's, a bunch of core cards in the deck are epics, like the Devil Source. Actually, I think that's like maybe one of the only cards in the deck that's an epic. But still, like, this has 2 Devil Source plus all of those legends, and that's like really kind of necessary for the deck.
And it is necessary for one of the dinosaurs to be golden. You have to have at least a gold Devil Soar or a gold King Crush.
Yeah, if you don't, then
that's why the deck is really quite so expensive.
Yeah, that's. I actually my first ever golden legend was Golden King Crush, which I immediately tested.
Oh, you blew it, man.
I actually don't regret that one that much because I eventually opened a regular King Crush, and like it does the same thing. But,
does it though, Bart? Does it really do the same thing?
No. No, it doesn't.
Does it drool? Can you watch it ooze and stomp while your opponent sits there trying to figure out how to not lose to an 8/8?
If we're talking about drooling legends, I just want Patches.
Yeah, rip.
Yeah, Patches was like, that guy, it is unbelievable how much drool is coming out of his mouth.
You can't see the rest of the art anymore. Can't even read the text.
It's disgusting, but that's what made it awesome.
That's why he comes out of your deck, he just sort of slips out. You always know which one it is. Like, oh, it's this one, I can tell from the back, because it's soaked.
Yeah, but they shot him out of the cannon because they didn't want him in there anymore. They're like, dude, get out. Please leave.
All over South Sea deckhand right now. He's just finished swabbing the poop deck.
Yeah, well, So actually, that's another point I wanted to make earlier about, Hunter wasn't doing so well for a while because they weren't adding a ton of support to the face deck. And I think that they actually started to eventually try to add support to the face deck, but the existence of Patches just meant it was irrelevant. So, like, Alley Cat was supposed to be one of the really big payoffs, right? Because that's an awesome card. A 1 mana, 1 mana for 2 1/1s, that's Lost in the Jungle. That's really good.
That are both beasts?
Yeah, they're both beasts, and that's really important because part of Hunter's core class identity is actually beast tribal. So, this card was just a hit in so many ways. It was actually a high power level card. It turned on your beast synergies, and it was worse than what you could do with neutral minions between Patches and like a Bloodsail Corsair. That just blows it out of the water because one of them has charge and the other one has an extra point of toughness.
Yep, not even close.
Yeah, just completely, like, you play Alley Cat, they do that, you're just behind.
And
like,
really,
far behind.
It's relative. The Hunter deck is trying to maintain a tempo advantage from the beginning, or at least the Spell Hunter deck is often trying to do that. And cards like Flanking Strike, big tempo advantage. And you're just not getting as much of a relative advantage if everyone else can already do what your best thing is, but better.
Yeah,
even if you add it to your deck, still the relative advantage you're gaining is not as much.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad for Hunter.
So now this sort of inspired like my whole thought about the new face of Hunter is like, where's Crackling Razormaw? Where's Dire Mole? Like, if I had to rewind a couple months and someone said, and someone from the future tells me there's 2 Hunter decks that are successful, I've been like, both of them have 2 Crackling Razormaws and 2 Dire Moles, or only one of them does. And it's actually 0. Is the real number.
I know, that is insane. It's crazy. I mean,
it's really wild.
Of those 2 decks, I think that there are, mid-range regressive Hunter decks running around. But I don't really know what their like relative power is. Actually, it looks like, at least according to the most recent VS report.
I was about to say mid-range Hunter is literally right below Spell Hunter.
Yeah, so apparently it looked like there's 3 faces, but we don't need to go into detail about mid-range Hunter. It does what you expect it to do.
It goes face.
Oh yeah.
So there even is that, which is even cooler. But the fact that there's so much representation of the other ways to play Hunter is really exciting and really unexpected.
Yeah, that's been pretty awesome. I like that they have found a way to move beyond, Dire Mole and Crackling Razormaw. Because I think when I saw Dire Mole, I'm like, oh, this is the new Hunter 1-drop.
Me too.
It's actually not that. It turned out to show up more often in other decks. But, it is quite surprising to see that the most powerful Hunter deck is not a Go-Face deck. And it's interesting though. So, I don't think this was necessarily I don't think this reflects like a shift in their identity, much like, I think Taunt Druid is a deck that sort of arose from a shift in the class identity of Druid. I think that this deck had support from some of the Death Rattle support cards, but it's not like it's a Death Rattle deck. It's a combo deck that is making use of one or two Death Rattle support cards.
And recruit effects. You're talking about the Kathrina deck.
Yes, the Kathrina deck.
It's sort of like a hodgepodge of different like things that just kind of happen to fit together. That's a way it's similar to Q-Block. When you look at it, it seems like maybe, well, here's the combo. You play the 6-drop, he gets the Death Rattle, and you play dead. You did a good thing, and then you win because you did a good thing. But there's so many more moving parts than that, in both in Q-Block and in the Kathrina deck.
Yeah, that's been something interesting. I feel like with combo decks in Hearthstone, and probably combo decks in every game, Magic included, there's a lot of sort of required play in order to get all of the lines down. Because every time, when I played Q-Block for the first 100 games, I would, every game or two, I would discover some new line of play that I had never taken before. And, this was even happening up until game 200, where I would do Umbra into, cubing a possessed lackey or something like that. And that was the first time I did that. But with this Kathrina deck, it feels like that too. It feels like there's several different lines of play you can take. A lot of the games feel like you just want to get to 6 mana and play the Ooze, but it is often more than that. Sometimes you can get some crazy OTKs with Play Dead and Houndmaster Shaw. That really adds a lot of dimension to the game. Rush is very interesting in this deck.
It seems like it definitely would be. It also seems like it would be so great with the Spellstone, though. I don't think the Kathrina decks are usually using the Spellstone.
No, because you don't want to run secrets, then you can't run Kelso.
Oh, this is true. But that's one reason why I haven't been berating myself too hard. I don't feel too bad about the fact that I haven't been able to win with the deck. I know it's just I gotta find more of the lines. I gotta get the nuance of it. That's what we call that. Nuance.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not like a standard mid-range deck that you can pick up once and just know what to do. It's not like Tempo Rogue, right? There's, like you said, tons of moving parts, tons of the deck is built on interactions. The deck functions because of interactions in the deck, which makes it inherently more complicated. Your mulligan decisions are a little weird. But it's good. I mean, if you guys out there have you have the dust, or you have it built, I recommend, giving it more of a shot. I've had a lot of really good luck with it, and it's been such a departure from what I usually play.
Would you recommend a steady shot?
I recommend a shoot.
Give it a shoot.
Give it a shoot. And then pass your turn. Yeah, I think what makes me the happiest is this is the time where I'm going to play Hunter, which is my least played class. So I can eventually get a Golden Hunter.
There you go. I don't think I have Golden Hunter. Let me
I'm not even close.
Let's see here. There are definitely a lot of other attempts to make Hunter cool in some way. There was definitely, Spiteful Hunter with the crushing walls, but it was all just so mediocre. And the nerfs just let all of these cards shine.
Yeah,
and it's not like there aren't good cards for maybe a traditional face deck or anything. There are some things. It's just apparently they're not as effective. I mean, the secrets are just so good right now. The 6 that you wind up using 2 copies of those 3, and the Spellstone, and Candleshot can finally really be good because there's no patches.
Yes, yeah, that's been really nice. Because Candleshot's a really good card in this deck because it gives you flexibility, so it can help you do more than just press your hero power every turn. If you don't have an amazing play, you can at least make a tempo oriented attack.
Mm-hmm.
And also the fact that it makes you immune, it's really good for making tempo oriented attacks because then you don't have to pay health for them.
This is very true. You have no way of healing yourself, but
yes.
It feels like that's way less of a problem for that reason. And I don't know if every list uses Hunter's Mark, but it can be a lifesaver with Hunter's Mark.
Yeah, I think the lists tend to run at least one of them because it works really well with Candleshot, and it functions well with Rush and even Charge type effects. Also, it's even a way for you to get to pop your Ooze early if you wanted to.
That's cute. See, there's one of those lines. He
Yeah,
just saved you 2 losses.
I've never done it, but I've definitely recognized the opportunity to do it.
That seems very spicy. I saw a list just recently. So another card that I usually see in the deck is Stitch Tracker.
Yeah.
So that can really give you like more power if you need it, because you can get an extra copy of an Ooze or a Kathrina. But you can also get maybe a Tar Creeper if you need to defend yourself. And I saw a list that cut the trackers for Glacial Shards. It seemed interesting. That was the one I was just trying out. But Glacial Shards just to slow your opponent down. Get some
that's
bodies out there.
Yeah, tracker definitely hasn't felt super necessary. When I play it, it's a pretty tempo negative card. But
3 mana 2/2.
Yeah, I think it ultimately depends on what you're fighting against. I can see the Glacial Shards being really good if you're facing off against a lot of aggro or mid-range.
Yeah, I think that is what the deck is weak against, maybe, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I mean, you do have
matchups.
Yeah, I that makes sense to me, because you don't have you're not generating huge taunts with your broken stuff. But yeah, looking for matchups, the best way to do this.
Seems like it's bad against Odd Paladin, so that's reason to think it wouldn't be good against aggro.
Yeah, for sure.
I have not played Spellhunter because I don't have a Rockdalar, and it does seem like it would be good to have that. And I also only have one to my side.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I played the deck a bunch. It's fun, but I don't know. It's a little too linear for my taste. You see, I don't like decks. So I like deck building restrictions. I think those are really cool. I don't like it. I don't like decks that have one way you can build them. We've talked a little bit about this in the past. I think Taunt Warrior was in this position for a long time. Definitely not anymore, but it used to be there was kind of one way to build the deck, and that deck was good if that way to build the deck was a good deck in the metagame.
Yes.
And I think Spellhunter definitely suffers from that same principle, I guess. And it could be that's not necessarily a problem, because oftentimes there is an optimized way to build every deck, and thus there is quote unquote one way to build the deck. But this one doesn't even really have that much room for tech slots. Your tech choices are basically, how many Hunter's Marks am I running, and how many Arcane Shots am I running, and am I running any Crushing Walls, and that's kind of it.
It's very limiting. The number of cards you can use is so much smaller. It's got to be 33% at best of a deck that doesn't have Rockdalar and To My Side in it.
Yeah, I mean you can't run any neutrals in the deck, so you only have the Hunter card.
That's almost every Hearthstone card.
Yeah, indeed. And it turns out there's just a few effects that you don't really get in the deck. I mean, you don't get a consistent taunt, though your secrets actually do a really excellent job of basically being a taunt. And you don't have access to a silence. That's a really big deal. But
if you enjoy bluffing, it's probably a fun deck for you, because I think a lot of the way in which the deck can be strong is that you don't necessarily have the right secret every time, but you play such that your opponent thinks you do. And you can get all sorts of free value by properly laying your secrets down.
Yeah, for sure. Sequencing secrets is a really big deal, and that actually rewards matchup knowledge, because it's easy to just know you have 2 mana and just play your Freezing Trap. But I've definitely punished a lot of hunters for doing that, and I've also lost to myself by doing that a lot. Where if I just you don't anticipate what your opponent's going to do, and you just play it because you have the mana for it, and then they do one of their most common plays, and it turns out it's not a very good one against the Freezing Trap. Maybe they have some way of generating a quick charge minion to pop it. I actually had an opponent who was playing Spellhunter. He was on the play, so he played his Freezing Trap. Then I played Keleseth, and then he did something, and then I attacked with Keleseth. And I get to play Keleseth again.
Awkward.
Yeah, I mean, granted, spending 4 mana on Keleseth against Spellhunter is kind of dangerous, but I definitely got to play it twice that game, and that was like pretty awesome. Not to say you should be playing around Keleseth or anything, but still, just that's an example of when it can really sort of go poorly.
I've definitely had opponents like I'm playing Warlock and they play a Secret, and then I play a Kobold or a Beetle or something and attack, and it's a freezing trap, and then I have another card in my hand, and I'm like, cool, Mountain Giant. Thank you for putting that in my hand.
That's amazing.
So that's a really big miss. Don't do that.
I think this is a good time for us to sort of have, like, I guess, an overall gross assessment. So how do we feel about these two faces of Hunter that are not face Hunter?
The two-faced Hunter. I mean, I'm loving this right now for
Same,
sure.
yeah.
Even though I'm not winning with it and only losing to it, it's still really cool to see it working. And it's definitely just getting started. The flexibility of the Katharina deck is definitely there. I've seen lists that don't use Keleseth and using Wild Pyromancer, which can also be really good with Hunter's Mark. And there's a lot of exploration to do. There's the Glacial Shard list, so I'm excited to see where it goes. But it's just awesome that these cards that seemed dead, like Play Dead, are coming to life.
Yeah, that's been really cool. I always like to see cards that like historically don't see play. I like to see them end up in top tier lists because that's really cool. It's just like it's neat to see a card you never thought would be good getting played, and that's happened tons of times throughout Hearthstone with like Hungry Crab and Bloodsteel Corsair being two actually amazing examples. Two cards that became so widely played that were, at least I once considered them barely playable or not playable at all.
And that's why I've never and continue to never just dust my gold cards when I get them, because I look at them and I say, one day, the worse the card it is, the more emphatically I say, one day you shall be great. And my Hungry Crab said thank you for not dusting me, my golden Hungry Crab. And then he got to blow up some Murlocs.
I think I've dusted every Golden Legend that I've opened.
Oh, you can't do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
The golden ones work better, and you draw them more.
Gameplay advantage. So I think the first, so King Crush, definitely dusted him. Archbishop Benedictus, dusted him. Gazlowe, I dusted him. I don't regret that one.
That one I would probably actually be behind.
But, anyway, hindsight's 20/20 here. But yeah, I feel the same way. I feel that these are, I'm really pleased to see that Hunter's doing something different, because for a long time I think it was sort of clear that Hunter had an identity issue, and because of the inflexibility of the class, it's tough to build in new strategies because of just how limited it was in terms of what it was good at. And even like set by set, all of its strategies have to like synergize with minions, unless they apparently don't. But it's just cool to see that some of those things are actually working out. It's cool to see that it's not face Hunter. It's not like we're just seeing, and it's not like the combo is something like Starving Buzzard. You know, we're seeing just a novel set of Hunter decks that are doing novel things, which is great. It gives me hope.
That's a good adjective, novel, I think, for what we like about these decks, is that they are novel. And
novelty's good.
Definitely. And, I have a golden Playdead too. See, I was ready.
Nice. I think I have a golden Stitch Tracker, but I don't know if it discovers a golden copy.
I do, and it does.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really powerful.
Okay, that's
extremely
really
competitive.
Yeah, the golden Stitch Tracker gets the cards you want more often. It doesn't get the Devil Swords or the King Crush. It gets Katharina and Ooze and Targeter only.
Mr. Creeper. You know what could actually be good is having the trackers and the shards, because that gives you 4 mana play.
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah, that's also it turns your tempo negative Stitch Tracker into a tempo positive.
Yeah, that's a 2/2 and a 2/1 and a freeze effect. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad at all for 4 mana. That's interesting. I mean, you could even just run one Glacial Shard and go down on one card, like Silver Vanguard or something like that. Go down on one of those, and then, yeah, that's interesting.
Some lists have been using Lonely Champion or Lone Champion or Lone... Is that what it's called?
I think it's Lone Champion.
It's
He's not lonely, he's just alone.
I mean, he had been lonely because nobody was playing him. 3 mana, 2/4 neutral. If when he has Battle Cry, if he's your only minion, he gets Divine Shield and Taunt. And I'm pretty sure I've been seeing lists using that card.
Yeah. There's definitely a list on HS Replay that's using it. That's interesting. I'll have to give that a shot.
So
it looks like there's a lot of room to explore.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest things about these decks, I think. Well, at least Katharina, like you mentioned, that one's sort of some ways a lot more limited, but we'll see how it goes. And this is, you mentioned you know your optimism. This inspires optimism in the future. Not only does this mean they've figured something out, and hopefully they'll continue to surprise us, but also maybe other things that we've dismissed, like that right now we're dismissing, are gonna come to life later too.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
like Bog Shaper.
What is that?
Exactly. I have a golden one. It's a 7 mana 4/8. Whenever you play a spell, you draw a minion from your deck.
Huh.
It's an elemental in Shaman. It's supposed to kind of be the opposite, or to be the complement of Hagatha. Because Hagatha says whenever you play a spell, or whenever you play a minion, she puts a spell in your hand, and then Bog Shaper says when you play a spell, you draw a minion from your deck.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
yeah, I see. So you get them both, and then you just go infinite, your opponent can't beat you?
Yeah, it's technically not infinite because Bog Shaper's pulling them from your deck, but it's really close.
Yeah, that's good enough.
If one of them is a Baleful Banker, you should be set.
Oh yeah, then yeah. So now we're talking. It looks like you have a deck. we have some playtesting to do.
All we need is Emerald Reaver, the 2 mana 1/2 that deals 1 damage. Or no, Elven Archer, and you just keep cycling it in and out of your deck. You do that 30 times, and you win.
That's broken. I actually saw, I think early post-nerf or some time ago, there was a Face Hunter deck that was running Emerald Reaver, and it just made me really sad because it wasn't Leper Gnome. I think it was also running Leper Gnome.
I mean, wait, was it odd?
Yeah. Yes, actually, it was an odd deck.
Okay, that makes me feel a bit better.
Yeah.
It's still kind of sad, though.
It's pretty pathetic. So, actually, when you said it like that, when you pointed out that Leper Gnome was really important for Face Hunter and that it got nerfed, it occurred to me that, Hunter's actually been nerfed so many times. Abusive Sergeant, the Starving Buzzard.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hilarious that this class that's good at, one thing has just been nerfed so many times, and, they're afraid to print cards that are good for that one thing now.
It was so good at it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I think people tend to not like Hearthstone when there's that kind of powerful, consistent high roll deck that just punishes certain types of play.
You could
warping.
probably, theoretically, that's maybe what happened to Shaman too. They turned the heat up on just they made the face deck just too good with Totem Golem and Tunnel Frog, and so they slammed the brakes so much so that we got cryostasis.
Yeah, thanks. A little bit too much antifreeze.
Yeah, literally stop moving. But now they're slowly it's like with SpongeBob, and he's learning how to drive, and Patrick's telling him with the mic in there's a thing in his ear to just only put his big toe on the accelerator and no other part of his foot. And that's kind of what they had been doing with Hunter and have been doing with Shaman, and it looks like they finally crossed the finish line with Hunter.
Yeah, definitely. What I learned in boating school is that Death Rattle Hunter is good.
We have another title.
All right. Do you think that's a good place to wrap up?
I think it's a great place.
All right. Well, when you guys are not, when you get out of boating school, so when you get back home for the day, you can check us out.
And when you're done playing
Twitter.
Pokemon.
Yeah, when you're done, when you're done, just crushing kids at your local game store with Professor Oak. You can find us on twitter.com/LastTurnHS or facebook.com/LastTurnHS. We are on iTunes and Google Play. You can find us there at Last Turn. We also have a YouTube channel. You can search Last Turn HS and find us, or is it Last Turn? One of those. Search them both. You'll find us eventually.
They both work.
Word. Oh, that's good to know. You can also go to lastturnhs.com and just like circumvent all of that searching because we have links to our stuff there.
Yep,
you can go to
everything there.
Yes, everything. Links to our iTunes or Google Play, etc. SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/lasttturn. You can get to all of those places from our website, lastturnhs.com.
We hope you had a good time.
Yes, most definitely.
Hope you feel good and educated about how to use shoot, how to properly shoot.
Yeah, this has been your Pokemon and Name the Hero Power podcast. So
with a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh in there.
Yeah, there was a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh. Actually, even some Magic. We kind of hit a lot more card games than we usually do today.
We went all over the place. Like we locked and loaded.
That's that would be really good with that Shaman card. The one for
yes, lock and load with Bog Shaper.
Bog Shaper.
Here we go.
No, that's a deck. We just got to find a way to get lock and load in there.
Yeah, someone figure that one out and submit the list to us.
Yep. Yeah, just tweet. Once you figure that out, tweet us. But anyway, we will catch you guys next turn.
See you next turn.